Hello and welcome to or back to my channel. Today's video, I wanted to discuss some of the biggest storylines that we don't have answers to in Blue Lock yet. And this includes storylines from the manga, so there will be manga spoilers in the video, so please be aware. But if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I just wanted to say a huge thank you as well for the 100 subscribers. It means a lot, and my next goal is 200 subscribers. So if you enjoy the content, then please consider subscribing. The first biggest mystery that I feel like many fans want answers to would be about Igo's past. Since even though he has been a character that has been around since the beginning of the series, we still know very little about his past before the series started, or even a lot about him currently now as a person, making him have a lot of mysteriousness surround his character, even though we see him often. We know that Igo was specifically picked by Henri, a new hire to the Japan Football Union, with the specific mission of helping the Japan team win the World Cup. And this already raises questions of why did Henri specifically pick Igo to fix the Japanese team, since we know that at least currently Igo does not actively play football, but he is very knowledgeable of the game, having created the Blue Lock project in order to create the best striker in the world. But outside of that, we don't know much about Igo. In fact, we don't learn much more about Igo's past until chapter 202, where we learn from Noah, who is currently the #1 striker in the Blue Lock universe, that Igo was the first person he considered to be his rival, and even refers to him as a brother in arms, indicating that not only were they rivals at some point, but they were also close. This confirms what many people speculated, which is that Igo most likely was an amazing player at some point, most likely playing the position of forward, and was on par with players such as Noah at some point, but had to stop. So learning this information definitely brought up one of the biggest questions that needs to be answered about Igo's past, which would be, why did he stop playing football? Since clearly he is still passionate about the sport, this answer could be as simple as having a lack of physicality for the sport, an illness, or even an injury taking him out, or it could be more complex. Since Igo has told stories about a player getting boosted up so much in his country that he gets the chance to go overseas, but realizes he is out of his league and has to return having not accomplished much of anything. And some have suspected that these stories could be about Igo himself, and a part of the reason why he resents Japanese football ideology so much is because he fell into it and has his dreams as a football player destroyed, which is why he is able to have this new ideology that goes against how people were used to playing football in Japan, and have the Blue Lock players be better prepared to go up against international players like with the World 5 and the Neoegoistleague. Hopefully within the future, we can get a good look at Igo's past, whether through a flashback, and maybe even have a conversation between him and Noel before the end of the Neoegoistleague, so we can learn even more about his past. Next, we will discuss the mysterious nature surrounding Nishioka Hajime, also known as Amuroi's Messi. Since an interesting thing about Blue Lock is that a lot of its background characters are given cool designs or descriptions, to the point where they seem like they would be relevant characters in any other story. And the author seems to be open to making these characters still a part of the story, since Corona was one of these background characters, but suddenly showed up in the Neoegoistleague arc as the right-hand man to Izuki, almost like he had been there the whole time. So this has made people wonder which background character is going to become relevant next, and one that most people have been very curious about would be Nishioka, and this is most likely due to the fact that in the first chapter, Nishioka was compared to the player Messi, So this, of course, has created high expectations for this character, but we wouldn't hear about his character again until after the second selection, where we learned that he was injured during the World 5 game. And this made people once again curious about his character, since if he is meant to just be a background character, then why would the author draw attention to his character by injuring him, since he easily could have just made him walk through the door with the other characters, but he didn't. And it made people wonder if there was something going on with this character, or if he was meant to just be an example of a player that was hyped up by others but never meeting their expectations. As of right now in the manga, we still have never seen Nishioka play, and he is currently on the Manshine team in the Neoegoistleague arc, which is the same team that Ryo, Nagi, and Chigiri are on, but he didn't play in the first match against Pastor. So people are continuing to speculate if the author is purposely holding his character back to potentially reveal him as an amazing player later on, or if everyone is just thinking too much about a background character. Personally, I think if we don't hear about his character by the end of the Neoegoistleague arc, then I don't think we ever will, since Manshine still has more teams to face currently within the manga, so the author could have him play off screen as a player and then make him relevant in the next arc, but we will just have to wait and see. Now next, one of the biggest mysteries within Blue Lock would definitely be the question of who crushed Sayatoshi's dreams when he went to Spain. As a reminder, before Psy went to Spain, he was quite close with his brother Rin, and they shared the dream of becoming the best strikers in the world together. But after Psy leaves for Spain to play for the sub-team of one of the top clubs, he returns much colder towards his brother and has a drastic change in his personality, where he declares he no longer has the dream of being the best striker in the world anymore, but wants to become the best midfielder. Now, many have speculated that most likely someone in Spain crushed Psy's dream of becoming a striker and made him realize he'd be much better off as a midfielder. But who could this be? Well, the biggest theory is that it could be Leonardo Luna, who plays for the national Spain team, where Psy played for one of the subordinate teams of Luna's team. And he also recognized Rin as Psy's little brother. Plus, we see that he has very low regards for Japanese players and their team in general by the way he talks about them. So he could have talked the same way towards Psy. But people have said this is unlikely, considering that Luna is much older than Psy, especially at the time when Psy went to Spain, which was around when he was 13 or 14. So other theories have speculated that it could be a new Gen 11 that we haven't met yet and was determined to be recognized as the next generation striker. So he defeated Psy, possibly in a one-on-one game similar to the one that Psy challenges Rin to when he returns from home, and after being defeated by this new generation player, Psy decides that he would be better off striving for the dream as a midfielder instead of a striker. But a theory that I don't see talked about as much would be that maybe Psy himself crushed his dreams of being a striker when he went to Spain and saw how many amazing players there were. And there he realized his skill sets would be better suited to be a midfielder and thinks his brother would be better off as a striker, which is why he is so harsh towards him, since he hopes that his brother's hatred for him will push Rin to do better. But let me know what you think about this in the comments. And finally, the last mystery that fans have been wanting answers to, and is probably the most talked about, would be what happened in Wildcard. This is definitely the biggest question I see fans wanting answers to, since after Kunigami is eliminated during the second selection, he is given a second chance at the Blue Lock project by being invited to join the Wildcard, since he is given the option to leave or do Wildcard. But when he returns, he has a drastic change in his personality and is much colder towards everyone around him. Oh my goodness, that almost reminds me of someone else. but readers are never actually given a look at what happens in wildcard or what kunigami had to go through, leaving fans to only speculate about what could have happened, since the only information that we are really given about wildcard and what kunigami went through is that it gave him a body that is supposed to be comparable to Noah's. So it's assumed that a huge physical test was included, but it also must be much more than that, since when kunigami comes back, he is so much more different and is almost an empty shell of who he used to be, making people think that maybe while the wildcard tests themselves were not hard, kunigami most likely ended up meeting up with his other Team Z players that didn't make it through the second selection, and repeatedly having to crush his fellow players' dreams made him realize to be the best player in the world, you can't be a hero. So he dropped that idea and became much harsher, since kunigami definitely had the strongest moral compass coming into Blue Lock, not liking when others played dirty, but when he had to defeat his other team players in wildcard in order to come back to Blue Lock, it broke him morally and he could no longer see himself like how he did before. But of course, these are all just theories and we truly don't know what happened, but readers are hoping that during the PXG match, when kunigami and Shido face off, we will get a flashback from kunigami about what happened to him during wildcard. Anyways, that is the end of this video. Which of these Blue Lock theories do you want the answers to most? And is there any that you want answers to but I didn't put on this list? Feel free to comment them down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Any likes, comments, or subscribes are very much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video.